Hi everyone, and a very happy Thursday to you wherever you are in the world. Um, I've done a video on why do narcissists stalk and is gang stalking real? And this was getting various comments, and it was obviously of interest and quite contentious, people believing different things. Um, on the same subject, because I have a lot of experience of this in my life. I would say that going back to Cora and other people's experiences and comparing them with my own. So, is the targeted individual narcissistic or the gang stalker? So, narcissism is there's something which people refer to as healthy narcissism, um, but that is I prefer to sort of think about that as self-respect and valuing yourself and going after your goals and things. Um, but narcissism, where people try to look for people to control and own other people, that's really what narcissism is. So, anyway, what Keith Daniel Langford says is that the targeted individual is a victim and the gang stalker is a cowardly criminal. Um, I agree with this. I agree they're massive cowards because they're doing it in groups against quite often an individual who is just getting on with their life. So yeah, they're huge cowards. You want to be rude about it? They're massive pussies. So gang stalkers or any stalker gets satisfaction from this activity. That makes them a narcissist. That's true. It's, as Keith says, it's just another mental illness. The interesting thing is that they will often gaslight their victims and try and get them to think. It didn't work for me, but they'll try and gaslight them to get them to think that they're going mad, but they're not, obviously. Um, so yes, they are. They call it a personality disorder, but it is mental illness. Um, so Keith talks about yet one desirable if you work in the government's gang stalking program. Now, I've got no idea about that. I knew this, it was a person who I thought was a friend from school that turned out to be one of these stalker narcissist people. Um, but it is actually, it's a crime of harassment in the UK. In America, it's a felony, gang stalking. So because it can result in the death of a targeted individual sometimes. If you're targeting a weak individual, maybe they're mentally ill themselves, or they're just old, or you know, they could get very, very upset about the whole process. Um, it's when they target someone strong that then they get themselves into hot water because then they get reported to the police, and if they keep on doing it, they'll eventually get into really big trouble. Um, so yeah, if those people are working together, they are taking part in a crime of murder if someone ends up getting killed because of what they're doing. So they are criminals. Um, and one of the people that was involved in the stalking of me had been up in court a few years before, accused of hitting one of his family members with an iron bar. So, and I didn't know about that, but I read about it on the internet. So it kind of went with the whole thing I experienced, never to be forgotten. Um, so, when joining forces with criminals, taking part in criminal plans of a gang, an agency, or group, you can be held criminally responsible for the crimes you're taking part in. Just as a driver of a car that carries, bank robbers, if those criminals are to shoot or cause the death of someone in the course of their robbery, you can and most likely would also be held responsible for the murders. So I'm kind of putting this out there to this guy that I knew, that if anything happens to me or my family, that he'd be the first person to be the prime suspect in anything that happened to me. And Alexander says, Alexander Illen Bennett said that for the gangstalker targeted individual, the individual is subhuman in a way. In order to do what gangstalkers do to a human being, they have to possess a mental shield of superiority when they compare themselves to the targeted individual. So that is in really the perfect example of narcissism, as Alexander says there on Quora. Yeah, I don't really have much to say to that, except that, if that happens to you, you have to cut every contact with any of these people, never speak to them ever again. Keep a diary, as I said before, keep records, evidence of everything that happens, and do protect yourself, keep your property secure. But yeah, I mean, it's a wake-up call, this kind of experience. But if anyone says this to you, that gang stalking is not a real thing, definitely ignore them. Listen to your gut, listen to your intuition, because it is a real thing, and it's something that I've personally experienced. So I think this is a valuable thing. I think that this video is definitely going somewhere, because people were responding and saying that this wasn't real, and I'm going to be keeping on doing this as a subject as long as people find it useful, because it kind of goes a bit beyond the other side of narcissism, because like people think, oh, narcissist, just looking in the mirror and that kind of thing, but it's a lot more than that, and potentially it's very harmful. As a there's a channel on YouTube called Understanding Narcissists that's been hugely helpful to me, and because it's something that I just never knew about. I was kind of blind about, and it was just a great education. That there are these people out there, so just look out for yourself. I think that you need to be very strong, and you need to take the fight to these people. There are a lot of them out there, and you need to be brave, and you need to fight back, and you need to defend yourself against this type of essentially they may be childish games, but they can be extremely destructive, extremely so. But I'd left. There was no way that I was going to be involved in this childish stuff anymore. I wasn't going to let myself be in the middle of it, or be targeted by it. It's a shame that other people are now, but yeah, just a one up, a heads up, rather a heads up for you that this is a real thing. So see you in the next one. Bye.